Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the former world champion Zerg in the red, the Executioner. It's Rogue. Facing off against the Polish Terran powerhouse in the blue, we have Spirit. A best of 3 Terran versus Zerg showdown on all new StarCraft 2 maps, part of the Wardi Team Liquid Map Contest Tournament. That means all new environments, all new strategies. The same awkward way of begging you to smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me counter the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,570 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. Nope. Probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Spirit sends the first Reaper across, and it has to jump up not 1, but 2 platforms in order to get past the halfway mark of the map here. Tokamak will be our Team Liquid Map Contest finalist for game number 1, and certainly looks like it almost begs to be cut in half. So I'm very interested to see if the game does go to a more extended state. We have a mixed gold base with a single gas geyser, and that looks like a set of rock towers there. Interesting. I'm not sure where those will drop to. Maybe the ramps on the side? Meanwhile, the Queens, where did the Reaper? Okay, the Queens push away the Reaper, but actually just went for the inject first, not bothering with trying to get creep early on, as the emotional and physiological damage that the Reaper can do by killing that first creep tumor is not really worth thinking about when you could just be getting the inject. Occasionally, like, players will have that little metagame around it. Will they, won't they? And if it's not Clem, usually you can get away with the creep tumor first, but you're trading off the extra larva you get from the injects for that quicker creep spread. And Rogue definitely seems like having more units is more important than more creep spread sort of player. Third command center finished up. It's going to be a barracks, a factory, a starport out of Spirit. So in a fever dream at some point I heard it called a Destiny Cloud Fist build, which sounds dramatic enough. The Reaper just hanging out near the rocks. And, Jimmy, make sure to give me the actual map maker's name. Oh, for those who don't know, you can vote. Please vote on the Team Liquid map. Put it in the description. But usually some of the top finalists make it into the ladder. Now, not 100% of the time, but it certainly increases the chances. I'll be casting a few series over the next week or so, and if you're watching this diligently within a few days, well, you still have time to make the difference today. And it doesn't take too many votes to put them over the top. There usually only are a few hundred, maybe a couple thousand, so. But reserve your judgment. All right, we don't know yet what to complain about. Though Spirit is certainly going to give us something. With an armory on the way, concussive shell marauders. This is a hot and heavy knee breaker build, which is usually just straight up countered by Queens. And he did go 3 command center, so it's not like this is some sort of crazy all-in. But it's certainly requiring some respect. As Zergling comes around, 4 more Hellions coming out. That is a suspicious thing to be happening at this stage, though some players will leave their Hellions back at home to defend against counterattacks. But Viking hits the deck. The Queen's out in front. And it's not looking so bad so far, but oh my legs! Brenda, calm down. We have transfuse. Oh, the easy for you to say. The Queen's already being incinerated, but more Queens coming down. And things getting a bit hot and heavy so far. The transfuse is mostly exhausted. A couple Queens burnt out. Marauders starting to target the medevac at half HP and energy. The Queen's thinning out the Hellbats. Target the medevac will be taken out of the sky. And with the medevac being taken down, the Queen spreading out, and another round of Zerglings coming through. Yet another Queen will be removed. But the Zerglings will trickle out of the hatcheries. The Marauders will be driven back, and Spirit will be spirited away. Well, he got 7 Queens. But that is kind of the Queen's purpose. The biomass that goes out in front and protects your bases. And almost all of it was expended. Spirit already back to 5, or Rogue already back to 5 queens, but a Hellbat push, something that it's hard to make effective against a Zerg who already has 3 bases well established. If you're going to do a 2-base all-in timing before they have that number of queens, before the monarchy can really come together. But I think maybe overplaying his hand here, though worth a shot in game number 1 to try to just pick up a, maybe not win, but significant advantage. Even building a bunker back at home to defend, so Spirit clearly anticipating some potential counter-aggression. Instead, Rogue just expands 4 times. He has a double macro hatch in the main. He's got 2 expansions out on the map. His larva count is going to be exploding, just like his banelings, especially once they get speed. +1 melee and carapace, completing momentarily. And then Infestation Pit is already on the way. So Rogue is going to have an upgrade advantage as Zerg. I don't really blame him. Attacking as Zerg on maps that you're not very well experienced with can be a bit of a nightmare. Trying to find the right pathing, especially with melee units, can result in disaster. So I'm not surprised he's hedging his bets by getting more ahead. The banelings are closing in. The Hellbats does not take out the hatchery and will lose a big chunk of his army. Though Spirit going to drop out on the other side as soon as the queen is off of creep, could potentially be gunned down. Another queen taken out. And honestly, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he drops it on the ramp. But there is a destructible rock tower, which does drop a set of destructible rocks that potentially blocks off one of these paths. Spirit now has a siege tank, which, putting the eye in terrain. A changeling leading the charge, doing a great job of cosplaying there. Will be taken out. Burrowed lings scattered throughout the map. Burrowed banelings could also be an option, but just burrowed lings to scout is one of the best and most underutilized options. But then again, Rogue's entire playstyle is usually Zerg's most underutilized options. Not that that's necessarily without reason. Okay, a lot of the reason, and even Cyril has said it, that baneling mines are not used. They're just not worth the attention, all right? They don't hit air. They don't one-shot most units. You usually need at least a couple of them. The APM requirement, they don't fire automatically. I'm giving you a lot of downsides, but Rogue, on the other hand, not going to be... Logic doesn't always apply to Rogue's play. Okay? He is a supervillain of StarCraft 2. He always finds these strategies that seem to be most damaging mentally to his opponent, not just physically. We'll see as we get into the more macro-oriented late game whether or not that continues to be true as a hive is about to complete. Already dozens, 141 Zerglings on the map. Couple dozen Banelings as well, coming around for more. Doesn't want to give away the Baneling burrow by doing it right in his face. Another scan comes out. Ultraless Cavern is on the way. And Overlord Speed as well. 3-3. And that burrowed Zergling. It doesn't have much vision with its head literally buried in the map. But he knows if only that was a Baneling. The thing about the Banelings, not going to hit all that. Look at the value. The value. That's, I can't get over how perfectly placed it is. And Spirit has absolutely no idea about this. Rogue is already building up a huge bank. He has the Ultraless Cavern finishing. Neither player, I think, confident. That's another trend of newer maps. Players don't really have as much experience on. Just kind of sitting back and building up because you don't want to get committed out of position and be unable to pull back. One Liberator sent out. Gonna blink away at several drones. A massive Doom drop. Operation Overlord about to hit the beaches. And while there are sensor... Wow, the map is massive. The fact that 3 sensor towers only cover like half of it. The Queen... Red! Have to pay respects. 4 command centers, 4 ghosts on the way, 12 more overlords. The Oversight Committee. I think I'm confident in saying the Oversight Committee is about to come together. The mass changeling, potentially mass Nidus style. Creep is extending out to the gold base. I'm calling it a gold base. I'm rounding up. Half the mineral patches are golden. Wait a second. Does he have the normal split? Yes. It's just half and half there. 11, 12 overseers on the way. 15 more overlords. Oh my. Here we go. And on the other side, a fusion core for Spirit. As he tacks up almost certainly to advanced ballistics, Caduceus reactor, but ultra speed as not too much as we've had the attempts to push out. But overall, both players have been able to get all the way to the late game without being interrupted very much at all. That burrowed Zergling has been worth its weight in golden minerals. But wait, these golden minerals are already being mined. The Dropper Lords are in position. A 4th sensor tower will almost give full coverage across the board. 2 Nidus networks. 7 more Overseers on the way. 120 Zerglings. He's coming in. Here comes Rogue across the board. The Overseers just leading in front of everything. Throws out some Changelings. The Overlord's dropping into the main base. He doesn't have adrenal glands. Oh, shit. He forgot adrenal glands. The one major part of this that certainly could have helped increase the efficacy of this attack is the Ultras try to trundle their way through the alleyways of the base, but Spirit will gun them down. The main base, the Zerglings being cleaned up. A few get into the natural, but overall, despite the dramatic nature of this entire attack, Spirit is going to stamp it all out. He has 5 orbital commands, but I think that's the lowest it'll be for quite a while. He has multiple more command centers finishing. Rogue has several dozen changelings. And that's just the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a... No, we're on your team! No! The changelings gunned down. Spirit doing a pretty good job of stamping them out, but the APM tax that the changelings pose, 13 more over 15. We're going to 35 overseers. We now have as many overseers as about the average age of the person watching this. Maybe lowballing it a bit. But they age like a fine wine, or at least a balanced one, as you can have as many overseers as you have resources on the map. They provide supply. They don't cost it. And the thing is, Rogue will effectively be map hacking with extra APM. It's like having orbital commands. The changelings, the burrowed Zerglings, absolutely everywhere, become pretty much impossible to stamp out. Ultras distracting from the fact there's a Nidus. Another Nidus in the main. The changeling is taken out. The planetary concave is too good here. The Ultras getting slammed by a siege tank and a planetary. Might be able to chew through yet another. More Zerglings dropping into the main base. It's raining lings, but there's plenty here to deal with it. The Overseer count still at 35. Caduceus reactors now on the way. I think he got advanced ballistics first. Indeed, he did, despite the fact he doesn't have liberators. A few dozen more Zerglings. Zerglings burrowed throughout multiple bases, but overall, Spirit, Rogue has literally edit that out. Rogue has literally lost twice as many resources. Oh my god! The Mule Hammer drops, but we're not even close to the bean counter phase of the game. When we start checking how many bases, though this map, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 per side? No, 8. 16 bases, I believe, if I'm counting correctly. So that means it's going to be 35 to 40 minutes, assuming there isn't a big hit to the economies. 30 to 35 minutes is when we start entering premium bean counter phase, where there's still changelings around. Another troop coming in. New recruits! No, we're here! We have papers! I know. Well. Rogue has both corners, though. And if he's able to get Spirit's main, that'll be the 4 corners bingo strategy. the SCV racking up the kills. Well, hunting the changelings. There's no way to take them out automatically, but all you have to do is right-click on changelings. You do not have to A-click them. This is very important and something I didn't know for many years. And I'm very sorry to the many Marines and Zealots and Zerglings that suffered because I couldn't tell the difference and didn't know that very simple tip. The Nidus in the main. There's a planetary fortress in the main base, a planetary fortress at the north base. More banelings rolling through. The changelings getting in the way of both sides here. Still 35 overseers. The ghost lining up another volley of shots. My rogue is just throwing money away. But Spirit tried to expand to this. The planetary will take out the Nidus in the main. Spirit certainly adapting to the situation. No one quite hardens their shell like the Porcupine Terran Spirit. We've seen some of the longest games in Legacy of the Void with Spirit as one of the players. So, thought I was going to find a more dramatic way to say that. But Rogue, not shying away from the supreme late game either, as another wave of changelings. Unfortunately, changelings don't show up in the units lost tab. I'd love to know, but 35 overseers seems to be the number. At least that he's chosen for now, and I think Rogue's looking at his guess. Nuclear launch detected. He nukes the main base, which, not sure what he's going to get out of that one, but it looks like the nuke will land. Meanwhile, the banelings roll it in. Nuke hits. One very unlucky queen gonna add to the tally. Ultras and banelings are crushing through the front lines. There's plenty of detection here, obviously, but the ultras will be pummeled by the tanks, pin cushioned by the liberators. And another wave will be mostly shut down. Some corruptors on the way now. As finally some more basic anti-airs being added in. Rogue has now lost, I guess it's a little better. He's only lost 11,000 more resources, not double, so. He's still mining from that top left, and technically he can mine from the bottom right corner, though he just started doing so. Ideally would be mining the gas as soon as possible. I don't think either player noticed there was a command center hovering above the top left corner, but more liberators on the way. Nidus in the main. Rogue has taken the forward base. There's another... Not one, but two bases with command centers floating above hatcheries. As our property dispute. He never got adrenal glands. Rogue. The most important upgrade. He's lost 400 Zerglings. Adrenal glands. Oh. Are we sure this isn't shit in disguise? The overseers say no, but the lack of adrenal glands say almost certainly yes. But a 40% attack speed upgrade is the single largest DPS upgrade for Zerglings. I believe it's more than like multiple attack upgrades combined. It depends on exactly what you're attacking, but for the most part. The Overseers just popping out another few dozen changelings to make life more difficult. Trying to draw out the snipes onto the Overseers. More Zerglings coming in. I don't even know what he's sniping, so I guess it's working. The Zerglings take, wow, another 130. In the last minute, he's lost 157 Zerglings. Those are rookie numbers. I'm sure we could do better. Rogue is broke. Whoa, whoa. He's completely broke. What is this? He has 89 drones. But he has at 150 supply. I always question, like, the Overseers are more of a shock and awe kind of strategy. Even if it isn't the quickest thing, just a lot of Terrans will get tilted. And I could probably end that sentence there, but a lot of Terrans will struggle so much dealing with the changelings, you can just take these decisive fights. Hey boys, what are we doing in today's exercise? Have you done your cardio for today? Get it? Exercise? Jacked up and good to go, right boys? I hate changelings. And Adrenal Glands begins as Rogue, I think, kind of just clicked on all his buildings and realized, wait a second. It's kind of an important one. The double Nidus in the main. As Spirit has moved out onto the map. He has 152 army supply. There's still the planetary in the main base with only 1 kill, but that might change momentarily. Another set of Niduses in the main base. Looking more like a campaign mission. Use the artifact! Go Nova! No, unfortunately, we can't do that here, but the planetary in the main is holding. The triple Nidus will be cleaned up by the bio ball that's just tearing through everything in front of it. It does appear indeed like Tokamak is well suited to more half-map sort of scenarios. It's a great looking map, though. I love the autumn colors. That means winter is coming. Or whatever it is. Wait, what am I... What? Is that intentional? Well, that's one way to thin out. Alright, changelings go marching on by one. Hurrah, hurrah. Right now, Rogue is not yet one. Hurrah, hurrah. The changelings marching one by one. The Terran mental health at an all-time low. And we stopped rhyming. Jimmy, edit that whole thing out. I really thought it was going to be more clever. Just like Rogue with this Overseer strategy. Spirit has managed to carve out the top left corner. And now here's a number you got to keep in mind. 1,570 likes and subscribes. And also 2,250 Vespene gas. Or, if you want to play it a little easier, 4,500. That is one full base of Vespene gas. 4,500. 2,250 per geyser. So, swarm hosts. Well, 11 swarm hosts on the way. The extreme late game. So, if Rogue loses more than 4,500 more gas, then we're getting to the point where having this many additional bases is not paying off. And right now, the deficit is just around 4,000. The drones, Predator drone. Well, is he just gonna let him? Yeah. I love it. That drone may actually take out the sensor tower. I feel like Spirit intent. Oh my god, the changelings pushed the drone into siege tank fire, obliterating it. So there are now Sir Richard and his merry band of swarm host brethren. The fact that Rogue is mining from the 2-3 o'clock base is a good sign for him. There are 7 orbital commands. Spirit with 6,500, 3K in the bank. There are still 29 overseers, but it appears the overseer phase of the game has been almost entirely phased out at this stage. Where are the swarm hosts? I assume they're in the Nidus. I assumed incorrectly. More swarm hosts on the way. Greater Spire as well as the freeloader unit composition. Broodlings, changelings, and locusts. Because at this point, the only way to be cost effective is to be literally free. Only 1,100 gas left for Rogue in the bank, though he is mining from multiple bases. He got 800 more gas per minute. A command center is burning. It may crash into the hatchery. Unfortunately, it does no damage. Spirit with just an overwhelming army supply is shoving his way around the map. And so far, Rogue has yet to... Just hardwalling the ramp with changelings, a couple good siege tank shots. Or not even... Oh, wait, some of those Marines are real! And he's using the changelings to box out of the main. The locusts will take out a base down the center. The changelings here with hold position in order to keep Spirit from easily getting back to his main. The Ultras, unfortunately, Changelings don't stop Liberators from sieging up, and the Venn diagram of freedom will take out several of the Ultras. He's going to chew through before +2 ship weapons. Nuclear missile is launched towards the right side base. Another Nidus. Oh, that's a lot of drones. Rogue, wait, there's no ruddy. Finds a way. Okay, 10 of them in total. I don't think most of them are at this base. The Ghost gets 20 kills. Though, I'm not sure if... Okay, and now it's super dead. Oh, don't be so dramatic. 6 more Ghosts at a time. The Locust dropping down yet again. The upgrade's somewhat sparse. +3 ranged attack and +2 flyer on the way for Rogue. And Spirit actually got denied his +2 ship weapons, which is kind of a big deal for the Liberators and the Vikings. So, despite the fact we're 27 minutes into the game, still the upgrade's not maxed out yet. Another wave of Changelings. The Overseers to cover. Now, units will automatically attack the nearest threat. And Overseers are not a threat, but they may eat a volley or two out of the Vikings. And they make it harder to target fire. So there is some value, aside from just flaunting them. But the Locust now creating quite a beachhead inside the main base of Spirit that still has a planetary in here with 16 kills. Another Nidus is on the way. The Locust will time out just in time for the Nidus to finish up. Though a Liberator is making sure it's contained for now. Alright, we're counting the beans. 2250 in each of these gas gathers. Another Nidus taken down. Rogue. Then try a scan here. No infestors. Kind of a notable lack at this stage of the game. Another wave of Locusts coming out. How many orbitals? 6 orbitals. So not that absolutely ridiculous infinite map hacks and mules sort of number. But still a healthy one. As Spirit, what is the army? He's got 16 Ghosts, a couple dozen Marines and Marauders, 31 SCVs. Both players with 2 to 3k gas in the bank, but Rogue has over 9,000 minerals to Spirit's 5,600. So far, Spirit has lost 33,000 minerals, 8,300 gas. Rogue, 46,000 minerals and 12,000 gas. So, well, as Spirit doesn't seem to be able to push across reliably. Well, Rogue is running out, potentially, of gas. As another base got taken out in the top right corner. Rogue did not replace the drones, really, which means his army supply is now equal to that of Spirit at 150. Another wave of Changelings. How many Swarm Hosts? We're sitting on 21 Swarm Hosts with full upgrades now. Spirit, the turrets per minute continuing to raise. The Marauders chunking through the hatchery. Rogue not bothering with a cancel. Hopefully he doesn't regret those 200-something minerals later. The Changelings in the midst of the army, maybe giving Spirit a misleading idea of how large it is. He sniping Locusts? And here we go. Another wave. The Changelings come in for another round. Rogue is still long-distance mining with the drones. How much gas? About halfway through the gas geysers in the bottom right corner. He's still got one of these gas geysers he didn't mine from at all. He just started. So he's got a fresh one there down the center, 1,000 left. So the beans are starting to get into the countable phase of the game, but we're not quite there yet. 11,000 minerals, 3,000 gas for Rogue. Coming around again with the Lings and Banes, the Corruptors, the Ultras on the low ground, the Banelings rolling up, the Changelings. We're just gonna have to see what happens at the end of this. The Ghosts lining up the shots. I'm not entirely convinced the Changelings are helping. In fact, I think Rogue is giving himself a misleading idea of how well he's doing in this fight with the Changelings there, as the Ghosts are able to line up their shots. And now Spirit, well, Spirit in the last minute destroyed about 3 times as many resources, and now the Swarm Hosts, a day late and several $100s short. The Locust will try to chase them down. The Changelings also alongside, running away in solidarity. We'll take out a couple missile turrets, start working on the planetary, but already preemptively repaired. Another wave of Banelings is coming in. So far, Rogue has lost 800 Zerglings. And he's going to be down to almost exclusively Zerglings if this keeps up. Oh my. The Corruptors will knock a few more medevacs out of the sky. The Swarm House, the Olympic Rings of Liberation. But here we go again. Just waving around the Snipe Wand. Though there aren't that many Ghosts, so they don't have much energy. Changelings in the midst of everything, making it as confusing as possible. But again, I feel like Rogue is hurting himself in his confusion. He is out of gas. He's building 10 more Corruptors. Somehow, we're pretty much broke. He's long-distance mining from one gas geyser. He has another one. There's still 800 down the center. These gas geysers are completely fresh in the bottom left corner. We're once again going to have competing industry. But the Locusts, the Swarm Host, may be the saving grace. As mixed my feelings are saying that. But here come the Ultras and Lings again on top of the Locusts. The Overseer's over the top. The Ghost didn't recharge much energy. The Ultras trying to chew through. The Planetary getting involved as well. The Corruptor count is high enough, but he goes into anti-air mode with the Liberators, but he only has +1 flyer attack. So, actually, the Corruptors are cleaned up. Unfortunately, a bit of a select-all-army action. Rogue will send a couple Swarm Hosts in, but he still hasn't lost a single one. You know what I really need is a Locust and a Changeling death counter. They all die eventually. I just want to know how many. The Changelings. Hey, bruh. No, let me out! This is happening. Another wave of Locusts. Spirit is actually completely out of minerals. Has a bit of gas in the bank. Somehow this has nearly evened out. The Locust with so much damage in the SCVs. Just give up on the base entirely. The Changelings still scattered throughout the map. Rogue has vision of... Well, there's creep up to nearly the natural. Rogue has not been slouching at all on that front. A hatchery is done on the left side, but the SCVs are grabbing away some of the remaining minerals. Okay, so... 122 Zerglings. Yes, the late game might be fought with Ghosts and Ultralists, but it brings us back to Zerglings and Marines at the end of the day. The Changelings all smattered in there. Rogue now realizing that Spirit has been mining this base for an uncomfortable amount of time. The Zerglings will deny it. The army supply is now in favor of Rogue, and the Swarm Hosts are potentially the winning move. Still not a single one taken out, which, quite impressive, I mean, despite their nature. The Lings and Banes coming in for another round. The Locusts used. The Changelings now... Well, trying to get involved. The Locust just a move forward, but at this point, Well, we're 35 minutes in and the last few bases are being contested. Another 17 Banes. Literally every ounce of gas going into those Banelings. Not a single Infestor. Not a single Viper out of Rogue. Alright, he rejects the metagame and substitutes his own, which seems suspiciously close to the Heart of the Swarm metagame, but still. More like Heart of the Swarm host. Another wave. And Spirit has not really made any I don't think sniping is better than just auto-attacking the Locust, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it might be slightly quicker, but Locust could easily be taken down by Ghosts. The production tab is empty. The mineral and gas bank is... Spirit looking a little better, actually. What in the... Rogue now mining gas from the left and right sides of the map, finding a few extra gas geysers that he didn't take advantage of before. And Spirit trying to deny exactly that, but another wave of Locusts comes out. Well, the Changelings, Rogue still has pretty much perfect vision of everything. This is Rogue's vision we're looking at right here. But the Changelings scattered throughout. There's not much left to be done. There's still a nuke in the bank. Zerglings will cut off the few remaining SCVs as they drag out literally the last mineral from this base. There's still 500 gas in the geyser. 1,000 gas over here, single Marine. 19 SCVs dead, 23 to 22 workers apiece. I guess if you have enough ghosts. 17 ghosts. He drops down, but he actually ran out of energy. Because of those snipes, so. Another swarm host on the way. Still, not a single swarm host has died. Which is magnificent. Sir Richard keeps good care of his long-range brethren. Not an accident, but instead with great intent. At some point, he got a greater spire, but Ghosts still quite a good counter to Broodlords as they are gestures to Zerg. And the Locust starting to add up. Spirit has, since the Marauder Hellback push, has not really found an opportunity to do much aggressive anything. Which is not a unique playstyle for him. The Creep Tumor, okay. Doing the cool, like, covering buildings with creep animation thing that we don't get to see nearly often enough, in my opinion. Happens more often when your teammates do it in team games, but... that's a whole nother can of Locust. Well, Spirit has 250 minerals, and that's it. He's dropping mules. The ultimate end game. The orbital theft of minerals from the corner. He doesn't want to drop too many because, one, they'll probably be taken out pretty easily, and two, he needs the scans. Rogue does not have an Infestor. He hasn't built a single Viper. But the risk of a single fungal winning the game is still very high. And Spirit, there's a big difference between playing to not lose and playing to win. And it feels like Spirit has been in a holding pattern. He's lost 69,000 resources to 82,000 for Rogue, which is a nice ratio overall, but not when you consider that Rogue has mined 15,000 more minerals. With only about 600 more gas. Spirit is long distance mining. So, okay, wait. I don't want to say it, but in order to win a game of StarCraft 2, you must destroy all your opponent's buildings. And there is a chance that Spirit, who now has less SCVs than he started with in Wings of Liberty, is playing for a draw. If Rogue completely is out of minerals, as is Spirit, and he simply can't build any more Corruptors, well, then he can't kill the buildings. And the map is almost entirely out of minerals. There's still a few hundred scattered around. This base, there's still 3,000 or so gas. Oh no, the first swarm host will die, but the Zerglings are coming around, the Banelings are closing in, and we could be headed towards an incredibly dramatic conclusion. A wave of locusts, the ghosts, they can't stim. The Overseers are chasing, and Spirit comes out of his shell and is immediately reminded why we never go outside. And Rogue, with his last army, 42 minutes later, 82,000 versus 90,000 resources. Almost every single resource gathered from Tokamak. 1,000 Zerglings. 250,000 Banelings. Only 4 swarm hosts. Rogue will take game number 1. Well, Game 2. Killer's Mile will be our map. Already looking very intense. Spirit in the top right corner. We've got Rogue in the bottom left. As, well, that was certainly one of the games, of all the StarCraft 2 games that I've ever seen. That was one of them. Those Spirit games certainly seem to have a, and Rogue as well. The thing is, we get them both together, and it was almost inevitable that something like that was going to happen. So, oh my god. This massacre brought to you by Monster. Rob's Guns. That's pretty intense. Well, the aesthetics of this map certainly creating a certain vibe. Then again, I don't think Killer's Mile is supposed to evoke a bright and happy future. Command Center first out of Spirit. Looks like a smaller map overall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 bases aside. I'm not sure I counted correctly on the previous one, Tokamak. And I do want to mention, once again, especially since we got a strong start, once you've seen a few of the games, you don't have to watch the games. You should check out Wardi as well, and if you want to see even more games, check out Wardi's channel. Wardi with 3 eyes on Twitch. I don't know why there are 3 eyes, but there are. You can find the link below, but your vote matters. So which of the maps, I believe you can vote for 5 out of the 15 finalists. So after watching a few games, make sure to head on over and check it out. You can see it in the description. And here's another important thing. The more votes in the finals, oh my, well, you don't have to vote for the Blatant Massacre, but you can if you'd like. They are anonymous, from my understanding. So the more votes in the finals, the more clear interest, and just generally, and shout out to Team Liquid and Monster for still sponsoring. Even though the map pools are not quite as dynamic as I think many of us would hope for. Map makers have always put so much into their maps. And since pro gamers absolutely despise changing anything more than a basic layout slightly, the way you kind of express yourself is more in the aesthetics, the vibes, if you would. And we've seen some of the most unique and clearly, like, you look back at the bland space stations with a few trees or a few rocks of the early Wings of Liberty Blizzard. What is going on here? Is this some sort of Godzilla situation? Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the amount of work that map makers put in for little to no reward. I believe even if you win the Team Liquid map contest, you get about as much as Clem does in 1 week of online tournaments, so... But you get to watch Clem win those tournaments on your map. And we have some Clem games as well, coming up very soon to you. Roach one's on the way. The debris pile over here with looks like a train car and a road sign is... And a single gap with a single roach one there. Easily able to wall that off, potentially with a queen. Reaper pops up to the main base. Ah! Dodges the grenade. And Spirit just went Reaper first. Even... Oh, no. You can't just come in here. Susan, this was your job. You stand in the door. All right? You hold the door. Hold door. No, that is an outdated reference, Brenda. I got it. But really, you should come up with some new material. Okay. We've been doing this bit for like 5 years. Nothing has changed besides we've become more expensive. So don't criticize me. I'm just trying to make ends meet. I don't want to meet any of your ends, Brenda. I don't understand what that means. And I'm bringing this up at the next Hatchery Owners Association meeting. All right? The HOA will hear about this. It's just noise at this point. How dare... Sorry, Oh, more drones! Gonna be incinerated by the Hellions. Getting more damage done with a few casual Hellions than he did with an entire push of the previous game. But Spirit... Another round coming into the 4th base. Trying to dive by. Cloaked Banshee's on the way. And the Spore Crawler is late. The drones. Hellions from the left. Banshee from the right. And drones getting roasted through the middle. Though the Spore will finish and the Queens will be able to get a decent amount of damage done immediately. Is there a lair on the way? A lair is already done. Though no Overseers. There's one. We'll see if it stops at 1 this time around. Mass barracks out of Spirit. With a couple idle SCVs just to make sure. Job's finished. No, Billy. Infestation pit. Already on the way is Rogue going to be sprinting up towards Hive. Small chance of Swarm House, but... and almost no chance of Infestors, considering how Rogue has played so far. I can't believe he played 40-something minutes of Terran versus Zerg, or Zerg versus Terran, without building a single Infestor or Viper. And of course, Terran's the point to that be like, look, it's possible. Well, with several hundred Locusts and Changelings, indeed, it does seem somewhat plausible. I'm not... It's hard to tell whether the Overseers were worth it. The constant Changelings and always having detection is obviously a plus, but spending an absorbent amount... Absorbent amount. Best words. Does seem like a questionable investment. Multiple, almost airlocks of supply depots. That Overlord feeling like the belle of the ball right now. And that ball is a murder. Add it to the list on this map. The Marines will stim away from the medevacs and... like kids on Christmas morning, except it's the ability to murder Zergs. What a present. Unfortunately, the Roaches and Hydras able to catch up with them before the medevacs are quite in place. But a bit of an awkward start for Rogue. He now has the Roach Hydra on the way. Another old build, but it certainly checks out. All right, here we go with the pipe 5x5, right, boys? Did you guys stim while you were still in the base? It's good to test it out. All right, it's good to test things out. Sub-Zero didn't think so, but I think so. You want a piece of meat, boys? Ooh, look at those. Anyway, the Changeling. Gonna spot absolutely everything. The Roach aren't going to be taken down before the fight even starts. That means no more Ravagers and no more reinforcing Roaches, though he does have the Hydralisk Den. The tanks are going to be taken down. The Marines are just ripping through the natural. We'll take out half a dozen drones. The Hydralisk Den could be targeted, but the damage is quite spread out. Another wave of Corrosive Bile. Gonna be knocking down none of the medevacs. Takes out a couple of his own Roaches. But Spirit strung out across the field. Does some damage, but is unable to concentrate his fire enough to really land a critical blow, I feel. Now with 2-2 on the way. Vipers! Rogue acknowledging that they are quite good. The circumstances significantly different than the previous game, especially considering he's on, like, Roach Hydra against siege tanks. Instead of, well, 10 bases against Ghosts. But a Ghost Academy is on the way. Hydra Lunge is in production. Single tank. Command center not canceled. Bit of a blow there for Spirit. Tank gonna be taken out. The checkerboard depots blocking out for the bunker, but a double drop up to the northern side will take out the outlying base. Another drop. The reinforcement, ooh, gunning down all of the Zerglings. Gonna get several Queens. Roach taken down. I believe he spotted the Vipers, but oh my, he's just tearing through absolutely everything. The natural going to go down. Stutter steps it. Marine sprinting into the main, picks up the double drop over to the 9 o'clock and gets out as well. Rogue loses 2 bases, half a dozen drones. He will finish up his upgrades, but a very awkward exchange indeed. As Spirit, he has 41 drones on the 3rd base. As, well, where else is he gonna go? The main base is starting to mine out. The 4th base and the natural have to be rebuilt. So Spirit just bought himself a whole lot of time. The Vipers will get some revenge. Able to take out one of the medevacs, another one driven off into the skyscrapers in the corner. Be careful with that. 3 Overseers on the way. Just 3. The Evolution Chambers, the Lair, the new Roach one, all bleeding out at the natural. If he finishes the hatch, I think the creep will save them in time, but only time will tell. Roach Hydra. Still just trundling around. See, he does have speed and range. 2-2 is about to complete for Rogue. Spirit already working on +3 infantry weapons. Has the +2 infantry armor. But hasn't started armor yet. More changelings taken out. Hydralisk Den bleeding out off the creep, but hatchery does finish. And things slow down yet again, which is concerning. Another Overlord creep block at about the 2:30 base. 2:45 p.m., of course. Cloak halfway there for the Ghost. 3 more command centers on the way. And Rogue is in kind of an awkward spot, going lurkers, as he wasn't able to hit that early hive tech timing. That is the greatest advantage for Zerg. Right when you have lurker range Vipers, before they get more than 4 bases established, before they get double-digit ghosts. Now Spirit has 9 ghosts, 4 siege tanks. He's maxed out and starting to clear the creep. Drops onto the high ground. It's going to be a double-tiered siege tank push. Couple lurkers on the way. And double Nidus as well out of Rogue. A lurker Nidus can always undercut any progress you make as Terran. But Rogue right now needs to defend his own bases. He might be able to do that by backstabbing Spirit and forcing him to bring his units back, but Spirit is currently on his doorstep. Yanks in a couple medevacs. Get over here! Another medevac yanked in, taking down. A single lurker is slicing through the base over to the right side. The awkward engagement angle. The double Nidus is spotted. Building armor now on the way. +3 infantry armor about to complete. +3 infantry weapons already done. 3-3 halfway there for Rogue. The roaches are being split off. Both players with a couple thousand in the bank. Hatchery on the low ground. Another roach warren. The second roach warren will be taken down. We'll need to replace it, more than likely. Though we may just be skipping roaches from this point forward entirely. The lurkers burrowed down into the main base, and Spirit was suffering from being maxed out. He didn't have any reinforcements on the way, which actually means the Nidus has quite a foothold, and the lurkers are grinding through with it, eviscerating the production. And even though the ghosts are cloaked, most of them don't have enough energy to also snipe out the lurkers. The ghosts from the front are finally coming back, and they have plenty. There are no overseers nearby. Rogue! Whoa! The units, get out of the way, guys! The lurkers are accidentally killing the ghosts. The collateral damage as the spines just gutting all of them. Only 2 ghosts survive because the other units simply didn't get out of the way in time. The lurkers were able to target behind them, getting way more than they ever bargained for. Rogue is expending a lot to get this done, but the main base is almost entirely gone at this point. There's only the barracks remaining. A factory goes down. What happened to the starport? What starport? He's going to have to rebuild the starport. Parasitic bomb doing terrible, terrible damage to these medevacs. The lurkers repositioning. No ghosts on the other side of the map. Only 1 ghost remains. It's slowly working through the lurkers in the main base, but it's about to run out of energy. And that means ghosts will be going extinct. He also killed the Ghost Academy, so it's going to be a full reset on the tech. A starport, a factory, and a Ghost Academy being built alongside 7 barracks for Spirit. The bio ball going to roll its way through the 9 o'clock base. Another planetary fortress is on the way. The orbital burns! No SCVs coming to repair. It will burn with no one to save it. And that brings him down to 5 orbital commands. Rogue. Parasitic bomb gonna kill off another huge chunk of the medevacs. Only 1 survivor will live to tell the tale. They might be too embarrassed to do so. Yet another Nidus in behind the 3 barracks that were rebuilt. Rogue doesn't have a booming economy. He's at 160 to 136 supply. Putting him in kind of an awkward spot as well. More lurkers coming through, getting behind one of the only fresh mineral lines. There are lurkers on the high ground, slicing at the 3rd. A good split in stem, and Spirit will save the planetary, assuming he repairs it. Indeed he does. Takes out the Nidus. There's another base now mining south of that location as well. Trying to rebuild. There's still lurkers in here. And it's still happening. The overseer count, only 5. A much more acceptable number. The lurkers have almost entirely removed the main base. There's only 1 turret and the original depot on the ramp. So the first building that Spirit built is the only one that remains in the main from that time. More lurkers on the way, but Spirit is doing a pretty good job of putting back together his production. Down on the low ground. Somehow, well, Rogue, unfortunately, he's bought himself a lot of time, but he hasn't really progressed his tech at all. He's still building lurkers and lings. Spirit is rebuilding about the best anti-lurker composition he can put together right now. He can't really get Liberators because, one, he had to rebuild his starport, and two, he lost so many medevacs he has to replace them. But Ghosts, Marauders, and Siege Tanks are about as good as it's gonna get. Rogue is now getting melee attack upgrades. Oh, there's no vision. The Lurker tried to hide under the cliff, but the Ghost armor-piercing rounds also shoot through the ground. The barracks count is back up to double digits. He's going to, I think, 10 of them? He's at 9 barracks. I think most of them have an add-on, though Spirit has remaxed out. What a series. Oh, no. But this time around, game 1, Rogue definitely had the map. He had pretty much all the money he could have ever asked for. Now, what he did with it was a little questionable, but eventually he got across the finish line. This time around, though, Spirit, well, the Rogue has actually lost, obviously, more. But it has been gas, and he has not been mining significantly more than Spirit, if at all. In fact, Spirit has mined more minerals, a little bit less gas. Another group of Lurkers and Lings are making their way up, with Changelings, of course. The Lurker count's still damn high. Gonna eviscerate the planetary fortress. The Siege Tanks behind. The Ghosts not quite in position to contest this. Is he actually going to try to crush the Lurkers with the Ghosts, or just move on and take out Rogue's base? It looks like it's the second one. The Escape Nidus will allow Rogue to reposition. Get those Lurkers up to the high ground. The Zerglings back at home, trying to dunk on top. Lurkers coming in from both sides, but that gave Spirit enough time to line up some of the shots. And the Lurkers not going to be able to pincer the main Terran army. 17 more Hydras on the way, but another base is going to be taken out. Both sides suffering economic losses. But Spirit is the one with the late game unit composition. Hydras and Lurkers will only get you so far. And with the Ghost count at 15 and Siege Tanks continually being produced, well, what else do you go for? A few Infestors wouldn't hurt. Swarm House? I don't think we're quite at the time for that, but Rogue is maxed out, so none of those decisions are going to be made at the moment. It's going to take at least one more fight in order to see where Rogue wants to go with this, assuming the Lurkers don't find an engagement where they can just slice through whatever Spirit has left. Multiple command centers vulnerable. We'll slice up the Siege Tanks nearby. The Ghosts lines up some snipes. The Overseers yanks at the Ghosts, which is quite a dangerous proposition. They land EMPs before they get sliced apart by the Lurkers entirely. A triple drop up to the north side, though. Hydras, a single Lurker and a bunch of Zerglings targets the Lurker. The Hydras are not going to be a match for this. And Rogue is undercommitted. The drones are pulled off the line, which just expedites their death. And Lurkers made their way through that bottom right side base. The Lurkers are back in the main, where Spirit found some real estate to build another command center. But Rogue is not handling this drop. There's no answer to it. Another hatchery gonna go down. He finally remembered Hydra Lunge. Yes, as he eats his way forward and still gets kind of stuffed on the round. A second hatchery taken down. The Lurkers slicing from the high ground to the low. Another orbital command tries to lift, but will sit down forever. There are no Overseers, though, which means the Ghosts can cloak, line up their shots, and knock the Lurkers out of the ground. Just waves the snipe over everything. Unfortunately, one of the Ghosts ran out of energy, which drew some Lurker fire, but for the most part, the Ghosts uncontested. The drop will meet. This should be more than its match. +2 melee done. Lurches forward. Still no adrenal glands for the Zerglings. Another Nidus. Spirit lining up more shots. The Hydra's jamming their way into the back corner. The supply depots, which Spirit is actually supply blocked, which is kind of crazy at this stage of the game. Targeting the base. The SCV is not helping. The Lurkers pop back into the Nidus. Spirit will repair the planetary yet again. More Lurkers! He's just dropping on top of everything. Rogue is down to 145 supply against 175. And finally, Spirit will clean up most of the stuff on his side of the map. Rogue trying to maintain this level of aggression, but the supply tells the story. Spirit has had to put out fires in a mostly literal sense. Left, right, oh. The Lurker slices through 19 kills on the Lurker in the main. But currently there are 17 ghosts in the army. And not a single infestor. Yanks the ghosts in, but that doesn't necessarily interrupt the snipes. They're more than enough on the back line. And Rogue has been... he's the violence of action. He's been keeping Spirit so busy that Spirit has not yet been able to realize his advantage. I mean that more in the literally move the units across. He may realize that he has the units, but he's been struggling to ever actually move out and use them. And now, another base. The Lurkers and the Hydras will pop back into the Nidus. That hero Lurker on the high ground still going. Spirit doesn't want to throw this all away now, but if he waits too long, Rogue may be able to drag himself right back into it. Oh! Scan spots the Lurker on the high ground. 4 orbital commands. Though not all of them are landed all the time. Changeling still on top of everything. How many actual Marines are left? 0. So every Marine is a Changeling, which makes it a little easier, I guess. The Ghosts. Oh, the Overseers were a little late, which allows just enough time for a volley of snipes to come through. Another wave out of the Ghosts. Spirit is maxed out. He's got to drop to the top left corner. Rogue feels like he's been in a death animation for a while, but clearly making Spirit work for it. He's at half the army supply. Another base, and there's just nothing left. The Banelings are not enough. A blinding cloud thrown in there. The Lurkers may kill yet another planetary. The Hydra's out in front, but the Ghosts are more than a match. Gee, says Rogue. And we're all tied up. 61 Lurkers slaughtered. As Rogue almost turns it around, despite the overall army advantage Spirit had for quite a while. But that brings us all tied up. Ah, yes, a nice, concise 25-minute game this time around. But brings us to game number 3. It's going to be on Diffusion. And for those keeping track at home and who will be participating in the voting for the finalists. First map, Tokamak. Second map, Killer's Mile. And our third map here is Diffusion. With a watchtower right down the center. Always an interesting proposition, though, in quite a vulnerable location with ramps on either side. Looks like you've got... well, actually... you've got your option for third bases. Ooh. A basic and then a rich Vespene geyser down the center. So, very valuable base there. Though potentially vulnerable from both the high ground and low. There are 3 watchtowers on this map. Though danger. Because knowledge, ignorance is bliss. So... quite an exhausting series so far. And with the way these two play, we could just be getting started. let me know what sort of matchups you want to see. I'm going to try before the voting concludes to show at least one game on each of the finalist maps. I may not succeed, but Wardi already has, so make sure to check them out. That's crazy. Some Terrazine looking. Is Terrazine a liquid? Or does it just get bottled up and used as a plot device or something? Something like that. Just enjoying the scenery. Yeah, like this. Little purpliness over here. Technical term. Hey, why don't we take the gas gases off these? Anyone think of that? No, those are earmarked for not you. Third base on the way. The Terrazine snow falling quite thickly now. Very cool little effect. I don't know at this point. Honestly, I'm not going to try to predict. So far, this has kind of gone how I expected, which was unexpectedly. But still a very drawn-out late game. Both these players are so well known for their drawn-out late game strategies. Rogue, constantly going for the mass overseer attrition, and Spirit, pretty much the textbook definition of a turtle Terran. Not a mech turtle Terran, that's a whole different thing for the Diamond League to ponder, but just embracing the mass planetary fortress ghost sensor tower style. Zergling coming across. The very first scout. Was this another CC first? I don't think so. But my brain is melting, so. Hellions are out. Roast the Ling. No Zergling speed, right? Oh, Zergling speed is done. It finished at that moment. Had to make one declarative statement and still was wrong. What is this? 3 barracks and no starport. It's a bio push of some sort. There's the starport now, but it's going to be mass bio. And a double medevac timing behind. Meanwhile, Rogue opting for the lair. Hellions working their way around. Quite a quick lair in the grand scheme of things. Overlord on a little pervert pillar. Looks like I probably could have found some space over by the solar panel here. Oh, wow. That is bright. Little space station off in the corner. Looks like we're on some sort of shipyard asteroid platform looking thing. Very cool. Or maybe warm. No, definitely cooler. Feels cooler. Double engineering bay and a spire. Mutas will be the choice from Rogue. Something we haven't seen any of. We only saw the couple dozen corruptors, not even a single broodlord in game 1. I feel like we kind of got robbed on that point too. Mutas will be... Knowing Rogue, it's just going to be another 10 corruptors and a bunch of Lingbane, which is an entirely valid strategy, but is usually not favored because corruptors only have so much utility and they require a huge investment. Double drop heading out. The 3-2-1. No, more like 3-3-1. 3 command centers, 3 barracks, 1 starport. The relevant part of things here. Drops out. He has Stim and Combat Shield already done alongside these Hellions. Baneling speed is on the way. a few banelings in production. Rogue clearly anticipating this to some extent. The queens are going to have to hold the front line yet again. No Hellbats, no armory. The banelings at the back almost able to target down one of the medevacs. And the Zerglings targeting some of the Banes, but a few will connect. And I think overall, Rogue holding on quite well. One queen. What a save. Another transfuse for the road. Coming back around for another pass. There's a single baneling at the back, but the wraparound. And the queens, get off my creep! And they'll be able to deal with it. 6 Mutas on the way. Is he out of larva? He was low on it. That's why we didn't see more. The watchtower is grabbed. 2 out of 3. Meanwhile, 3 more racks on the way. No indication whatsoever that Spirit... That's part of why mutas occasionally can work nowadays. Is no one's expecting them. They are so easy to counter if you have any inclination. But right now, Spirit will be almost entirely blindsided. He has exactly 0 missile turrets. He has 0 units ready in the main. He has absolutely no idea this is coming. And what he doesn't know can certainly hurt him. Rogue already building up Lings and Banes in order to potentially deal with the counterattack. A Corruptor on the way. And here come the Mutas. Spirit moves away. The Marine reinforcements will be enough to drive them away from the main base. Picks off 1 Muta. But there's more than enough to keep the pressure on. Trying to hunt them down on either side. 7 SCVs dead. But Rogue using this opportunity to expand profusely throughout the map. He's already got the 4th base, working on the 5th, has a macro hatch in the main. 1-1 melee attack and Carapace are on the way on the ground. But they're not done yet. More mutas in production. They double back for the 3rd base. Gonna start working on the supply depot. Spirit is already supply blocked. I think he just dropped a depot somewhere, but... So he pretty much has what he has coming across the map. He's not coming back to defend, and the Zerglings will be able to cut off some of the reinforcements. That bunker all tucked in, but the Zerglings will make sure it has a very tough time. Meanwhile, just abandoning the base at the 3 o'clock. Rogue spamming out Lings and Banes. He's got the queens as well. He's clearing the 3rd base. Takes down the missile turret. Spirit is supply blocked yet again at 157. Now 141. He takes out the base, and it looks like he wants to back off, or at least come around again. But it's quickly becoming an all-in scenario for the Polish Terran. As after 2 incredibly long, drawn-out late games, Rogue is just hitting them with the mutas. And Spirit is running out of responses. 2-2 is on the way for the Marines. And, well, I don't think he has any Marauders. The siege tanks, pretty high in number. 4 of them with the army. A whole lot of medevacs overhead. But Rogue has already done the economic damage. If he can hold on to 4 bases against someone who's struggling on 2, he's obviously at a great spot. And here comes the majority of the army. The Muta's going to target down some of the siege tanks. Lings and Banes from the backside, making it almost impossible to micro away. Good split so far, but the Muta count is so damn high. Is it enough to break through? Zerglings underneath. More Lings and Banes. 1-1 completes for Rogue. And he's able to drive the Terrans back. And I think he's done it. The supply is there. He's going to take out the majority of the medevacs, including the ones with the few surviving Marines. In fact, he's going to take out all but 1. Go tell your friends what happened here. I'm a Terran. I don't have friends. Gee. After over an hour of back and forth Terran versus Zerg action, Rogue will claim a hard-fought victory off the fragile yet agile backs of the Mutas. Well, that was a whole lot. But a well-deserved win for Rogue at the end of the day. He'll take the series 2-1. Well, hopefully, it made your day a little bit better. And make sure, if you're interested, even if you don't plan on watching all the games, make sure to take a look at the Team Liquid map contest. Potentially vote for your favorite finalists. Even voting at all is helpful because it shows an interest in map makers at all. Doesn't guarantee the maps will make it to the ladder, but if you like honestly, if you like the look of a certain map and you want to see more of it, that's a good enough choice. As good looking maps means more people watching, more people interested in the best game. So I digress. Thank you for watching. If you got the means and motivation, be awesome. Check out Patreon. Thank you, Big Jiggy Dork, Mario, N, and Thomas. Be our mule tier patrons, bringing in so many minerals. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free for now. So hopefully I made a significant chunk of your day just a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Thank you for watching. Stay chill.